With a few minutes of delay. Again, thank you for your patience as we're bouncing around the campus for the next few weeks. There's several events going on around campus, and because of that, we don't have the Bush Auditorium, but we'll get it back very soon, and we'll have a lot more people also joining us along the way.
I was going to say we'll be back in Bush next week, and then we'll be here the following week, and then back in Bush for the foreseeable future. So.
There you go. By the way, Josh, remain standing for just a second. Turn around. I just want you to say congratulations to Josh. He just got married. So, just came back from his honeymoon, and this is where he is, hanging out with us. So 1 million cups, created and organized by the Kauffman Foundation. It is for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs. We're all volunteers. Real quickly, let me say hello to David right here on stage, handling technology. Shay right here, who brought and organized this at the beginning and handling our social media. Back there, through the camera, we have Nancy in Kansas City, and maybe through the camera we have Natalie, who is not feeling well and is not here this week. So, the format is very simple. It's a 6 minutes presentation, 20 minutes Q&A. We're going to be a little lax on the time as we're starting a little late. There's a timer right here, and there you go. So the timer will be facing the presenter, right? So that way there are no errors. And right here up front, handling the timer for us is Alex, who is an up-and-coming organizer and going through the process. So thank you, Alex, for your help. Yeah, advanced training program, very difficult. So a little special thing this week, I want to tell you, we have a little contest going on for you guys, and it's a really cool thing. So we're going to, we want you guys to tweet and take pictures and push them on social media, and we'll select the winner, and the winner gets free coffee next week. So this is really awesome, and we hope you guys participate. So play often, so we have a lot of options. The Q&A format is also very simple. It is an uplifting, constructive approach to the presentation and to the Q&A. It is not destructive, it's not Shark Tank, it's Guppy Tank. So from that standpoint, for those of you, by the way, how many of you are here for the first time? You just raise your hand. That's wow. Thank you guys for coming, and I hope to see you guys again next week. Bring some friends. Which is the next request is we need you guys to spread the word, tell other people about this, tell companies to come and present. The parameters are very simple. We want you to be a founder, co-founder, or part of the exec team. We want you to be less than 3 years of age. We want you to have a minimum viable product, an MVP, so we have things to talk about. If you have revenue, that's even better. And we want you to have scalability beyond the local geographic area. So if you want to open a pizzeria, that's awesome, good for you. We're not the right place. If you have developed a new way to bake a pizza and you want to push that out to the entire country and the world, then we are the right place for you. So just the two different things. Who are we starting with? Canvs. So we're going to start with Canvs, and Nicole is going to come up and talk to us about this new, really amazing space coming into the Orlando area. Let's welcome Nicole.
Good morning, everybody. I'm the Managing Director for Canvs, where we want to support the future of Orlando's startup tech company. Big picture, our goal is to help create 5,000 high-wage tech jobs in the next 10 years, and to make Orlando a top 10 tech hub. Now, if you've been to an EDC meeting, a State of the City address, a Chamber of Commerce event any time in the past year, you know that these are popular talking points. And that's not just in Orlando, that's all over the country. It's kind of a joke. Every city, every major city in the United States wants to become a center for technology. So how do we actually do that? Well, we focus on the entrepreneur. So we make it easier to grow a company here in Orlando. We increase the rate of success. All startups need basically the same things. They need talented employees. They need mentorship. They need access to capital. They need events. They need business connections. In short, they need an ecosystem. We already have a very active tech community. We have events like 1 Million Cups at provide support for startups to come and pitch their companies. We have the Orlando Tech Association, which has the single largest grassroots tech meetup anywhere in the Southeast. We want to bring all of these resources together in one place. That place is Canvs. So Canvs is a co-working space. If you're not familiar with the co-working model, it's an open floor plan that serves as a business development center. This kind of environment encourages collaboration, encourages invention, experimentation, and learning. We are also a nonprofit organization, so our mission is to make it easier for anyone to start and grow a company in Orlando. This involves mentorship, support through programming. It involves providing startups with affordable, flexible workspace options. We do this with the goal of inspiring more people to take the entrepreneur's journey and making it easier for people who are already building their companies. So we are the first space of its kind here in Orlando. We have these kinds of spaces in other places around the country, but in terms of the breadth of our mission, this is the first thing of this scale that we're trying to put together in the city. So we're doing that by creating a network of civic, business, and educational leaders, bringing them together in the space to provide this support for startup companies and help them grow their businesses. We're also doing it with events. So we have the Church Street Exchange lobby that we use for events. Some of the events we already have committed are the Orlando Tech events, Orlando Data Science, iOS and Android developer groups. We're working on a speaker series that will further the goals of Project DTO. We're working on a pitch practice event for startup companies to teach them basic communication skills. All of this is going to be happening here in the Exchange building. Our ultimate goal is also to create an educational pipeline through all levels of education, including youth mentorship programs, so bringing the youth from the community in for educational programming, introducing them to the principles of tech and entrepreneurship. All of this is happening at the Church Street Exchange. So the Exchange building is being filled with tech companies from the first floor to the second floor to the third floor. It will become the center for tech activity downtown. Some of the benefits of this location. So we are in the heart of what's quickly becoming Orlando's entertainment district. That stretches from the Dr. Phillips Center to the Amway Center and on to the new soccer stadium eventually. This area includes a wide variety of bars and restaurants and cultural venues. All of these assets combine to make that area a great place to work during the day and a great place to play after work. So this is what the space looks like. We have space for 165 coworkers and 17,000 square feet. That's about half of the ground floor of the Exchange building. Most of that space is taken up by open co-working space, as you can see around the edges here. We also have 9 conference rooms, all of them equipped with Apple TVs. 2 of the largest conference rooms are separated by a garage door that can be lifted to combine the 2 spaces for workshops and events. We also have lounge areas that provide gathering spaces for community members who want to come in and have a cup of coffee with the startups. So this is what the space looks like. We have also provided a variety of amenities, including we have internet service, reception, phone lines, coffee, tea, beer, which is important. And we have a bike rack for people who want to take Sunrail to work. So we are about half a block away from the nearest Sunrail station, which is 10 minutes from Rollins. So we think this is going to be a huge asset. It's going to increase the number of people taking public transportation, increase the number of options in terms of workspace for startup companies. Our business model. We're a non-profit company. We charge monthly membership fees from our coworkers, and we have a variety of options, co-working options, that fit into a startup's budget. All of our revenue goes to cover our costs, including our staff, internet, utilities, food. Any profit will be used to subsidize co-working memberships. So who are we? Canvs was founded by Split, which is a local analytics company run by these 4 guys. You might know Philip Holt from his work in the community. They have taken what they've learned from building a company here in Orlando, and they're applying that to creating a space to help startups succeed. Team members. So there's myself, Managing Director, and Riley Burke, our Operations Manager. And this is our board. So you might recognize a few of the names on this list. This isn't your traditional co-working board. We reached out to business leaders and influencers from across Orlando to come and join our mission and join what we're trying to do in building this community. So some of the names on here, we have Creative Village. So our goal is to create a pipeline in Creative Village. We're building the companies that will someday fill this great plan we have for the downtown area. So we have Brooke Myers on the board, Kelly Cullen, Jonathan Tillman, Greg Pollock, who runs Starter Studio, Michael Georgiopoulos, the Dean of the College of Engineering and Computer Sciences at UCF. So we're bringing in a lot of haven't benefited when we're trying to build here. We also are looking for additional mentors. So we already have a robust mentorship program that's anchored by our board, who will be coming in to provide assistance and support for startup companies. We're also looking for additional programming partners. So we have a variety of partners already. We're working with Starter Studio, we're working with the colleges, we're working right now with the UCF Venture Accelerator to develop a program for speaker series so we can teach the startups basic communication skills. And we're also looking for sponsors. Thank you. Canvs is opening next month in the Church Street Exchange. I hope to see you all there.
So for the Q&A, if you guys can please just raise your hand so we can go ahead and bring you the mic, and that makes our life a lot easier on the recording side. So
I'm curious what it costs. I mean, I suppose you have a menu of services, or is it based on square footage that my company would be using, or how does it work?
Sure. So we have a variety of membership options, and our goal with those was to make it easy for a company at any level to be able to afford space to join the community. So we have a dedicated workspace where you leave all of your equipment in the space, and that's 24/7 access, all of the amenities. That level is $450 for 1 to 5 people, is $400 for 5 to 10, and $350 for 10 or more. We have a floating desk, which is $250, so you always have a desk. You come in, you bring your laptop, you always have some place to work, except it may not be the same desk every day. We have a community membership, which is $100 a month, and that's someone who comes in, they can use some of our lounge areas and use some of the spaces around the exchange to engage with the community. We also have day passes.
Thank you. So you have a question right here?
Yes.
What does the name mean?
Canvs. So we thought about this space in terms of the blank canvas. So we have a benefit in this community in that everyone in town is interested and engaged in working together to create something interesting. So Orlando, in a way, is a blank canvas. And there's a lot of opportunity here, and there's a lot of room for anyone in the community, no matter who they are, whether they're a startup company, an established company, whether they're a civic leader, to come in and make an impression on the city. And so that's what we imagine for Canvs.
You leave the second A out of Canvas. Is this a problem in Google searches? People spell your name traditionally and then not find you?
Yeah, tech companies have a funny way of playing with the language. So our name reflects our industry.
Okay, but does that cause a problem when people
Does it cause a problem? No. We're doing a lot of SEO for the site to solve that problem. We did have that problem initially, recognized it, and we're working to fix it.
Thank you.
Mostly what I'm impressed with is that you're basically a prototype and a model that is needed for the nonprofit world, because you're showing a business model that you're not creating a sinkhole in Central Florida for money to go to give it away, but you have come up with a self-sustainability plan. So I just applaud you with that, and I think you're going to break wide open. The one question I had was, who would not be a candidate to be within your space?
To speak to your first point, we had a variety of incredible partners for this venture. So we have local businesses who have invested in the space, invested their time and their energy into not just supporting the space, but also trying to find a way to further support this community. So our primary sponsors are CFR, TriNet, Foley & Lardner, and Old Florida National Bank, and they have been incredible partners. We had Jones & LaSalle, which was a very forward-thinking company in coming up with a vision for this building to turn the Church Street Exchange into a center for technology in the heart of our city. We also had the owners of the building, Tremont Capital, who have been amazing in helping us come up with a sustainable co-working model. And that's a challenge. So we did a lot of research when we first started out, because co-working spaces across the country have failed for a variety of reasons, not being able to come up with a sustainable financial model, and to come up with a good vision for their space. And so those are two things that we set out early to do. Our partners have made that much easier for us, and we look forward to continuing for many years here in Orlando.
We have a question right here.
So are you guys, I know you're looking to develop more programs as you go forward. Are you looking to do anything for the pre-entrepreneur? And what I mean by that is, for someone, I joke with friends and family that if I didn't know everything I had to go through over the past year and a half, I may not have done it. So really educating that person that's getting started, here's what you have to do to set up your business. Whether you're looking to bring in capital, get things started from a legal standpoint, are you looking to educate the people before they're even ready to get to Canvs?
Yes, so in addition to the startup companies we have working in our space, and our focus is specifically tech startup companies. In addition to those companies, we have companies that provide support services for startups. So that's IT, it's legal assistance, it's financial assistance. In addition to having those people in the space, we'll be doing regular programming to sort of introduce people to what the entrepreneurship journey includes. Because it is a struggle and it's very hard, which is why we exist, it's why we started this. Our founders built a company here and they saw how hard it was. And a lot of our programming and the way we're going to be running this space is designed to solve that problem exactly. So an entrepreneur coming in, they have questions, they need assistance, they need business connections, how do they go about finding that? So one of the ways in which we will serve the community is to provide a center for knowledge and information. So pulling in information about all of the resources that are available, not just at Canvs, but at the universities and at Starter Studio and at 1 Billion Cups and all of these other amazing events around town. So in addition to being the managing director of Canvs, I'm also the communications chair for Orlando Tech Association, which shares the same goal in reaching out across the community and uniting a lot of the resources we have. We have the rest of the Orlando Tech team, I think the majority, all but one, working in the space. So Echo is an anchor tenant of ours and has been amazing. They host a ton of events around town. You probably know Carlos, who's everywhere. In addition to that, we're at Davis, and we have Matt Groffman from Bungalow, who's going to be working in the space, and a lot of very community-minded, focused-driven people.
Good question,
Okay, first of all, I'm really excited about Canvs. My question is, are you going to have a ping pong table and other games?
Yeah, so anyone who's worked in one of these shared workspaces, work environments, knows that there's a very special kind of community that grows up around this environment. It's everybody working at something incredibly hard, every day, together, long days. And so there's a great social environment that grows up around that kind of space. I think each space kind of develops some personality too, in a way, in its own culture. We explored table tennis, I'm supposed to call it apparently. With Starter Studio, we had the ping pong tournament of champions, which was a lot of fun. I went through the first class at Starter Studio. But they're so loud. They're so loud and they're so disruptive. So if we have a ping pong table at Canvs, it will be in our basement space, which actually stretches the length of the building. I'm still pushing for one, but I'm not sure yet.
What plans do you have to kind of reach out to? Because you mentioned working with kids. One of the chambers in the town, because obviously they play a big role in a lot of businesses, and as well as the nonprofits, obviously there's with the Girls Club of Central Florida, the Resident Sisters. So have you actually reached out to those campuses here? We're looking to do some work with your youth or what?
Yeah, we're doing that a little bit at a time. So the Canvs founding team and myself are both very passionate about social entrepreneurship and social enterprise. And so it's our goal to make this kind of an outpost for social enterprise downtown. Part of that is bringing in social enterprise companies, introducing the principles of social enterprise to people who aren't necessarily familiar with it, and also creating these youth programs to help support our youth and introduce them to the principles of entrepreneurship. So the only program we really have connected to at first is source code B46. If you're familiar, Kyle Steele has been actively involved in the development of Canvs since it began. He's running an amazing program with the goal of teaching all students coding principles before 6th grade, which is amazing. So we'll be able to help and support that through Canvs and through some of the other resources around town. But we also have some really amazing programs, Iridescent and some of the other early entrepreneurship programs for women, for young girls, and for children, and we'd love to bring them in and host some of their events in our space.
One last question.
I have to apologize because I was stuck in traffic for part of your presentation, but co-working is kind of a generational thing. I have, for instance, my business partner. I love the idea of this, but I have people on my team that would go insane trying to work in that environment. Is there any thought to having space, maybe even in your basement area, for offices if people want to actually rent an office?
We do have some private offices, and those are apparently incredibly popular because they have filled up almost immediately. I think we may have one left, which is a challenge. So co-working isn't for everybody. That kind of shared workspace environment it can be a little bit louder than your traditional workspace. It can, the connections you don't have a ton of privacy. You've got to just accept the fact that you're kind of sharing things with companies. But at the same time, you're receiving a lot from that kind of environment, and that you're hearing what other companies are going through, and especially for startups, that's incredibly important. So you're learning from their mistakes and their successes. You're all celebrating together. It facilitates conversation, easy conversation between co-working members. But it can be difficult for people who are used to a more traditional office space. I started in a traditional office space, and it was a slight adjustment at first when I started co-working, but I loved it. I adjusted quickly and found that there's so much energy when you get a set of creative people in the same room, sharing ideas and sharing their passion with each other. There's a kind of magic that happens in that space, and that's what engaged me in co-working whenever I first started co-working at Urban Rethink. And I think it's what draws a lot of people to these kinds of spaces. One more question right here.
Two questions. First one is, you mentioned there's a lot of other co-working spaces nationally. What is the mix between for-profit and non-profit? And the second one is, what kind of support have you seen from the city and or the county?
So there's kind of an even mixture of for-profit and non-profit spaces. A lot of it depends on the opportunities they have. So a lot of co-working spaces happen because they have a building donated or they have a major investor, which is amazing, and everyone is very thankful for those resources, but at the same time it's not necessarily a sustainable model, and that's what we were looking at when we created Canvs. So you get a mix. So we talked to a co-working space in Miami called The Lab, which is an amazing space, very similar to ours in structure. And they are actually a for-profit space and have done very well. We're profitable within the first 3 months and have been nearly full ever since. So, and that's one thing I didn't really mention. So in addition to creating a network around town, we're creating a network across the state. We believe that in supporting this community and connecting our community to other communities, it supports the growth of the entire state and supports technology in Florida generally. And also helps to cross-pollinate across areas, so finding out how other communities do things and what their best practices are. So we've already connected to the Lab in Miami. We've connected to spaces in Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Tampa, what was the most recent one? Over on the coast, a couple smaller spaces. And everyone's very interested in collaborating and interested in kind of sharing their experience and sharing what they've learned. As for our support, so we have received a ton of support from our civic organizations and our economic development organizations in town. I think they appreciate our mission, they appreciate the fact that we're thinking big and that we're looking long term. They appreciate our focus on product development and on the developers. So it's, Orlando Tech Meetup has an amazing focus in that their goal is product development support, specifically product development. All of their pitches are focused on developing products. And so that's something that I've always appreciated in that organization, and that I know we want to bring to Canvs, and being able to support product developers, give them an opportunity to pitch their products. And so I think the civic organizations see that we need more of those resources, we need more of those connections, and we need more people thinking big about the future of Orlando, and so that's where we're going.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. You spoke to this a little bit before we give her a big round of applause. You spoke to this a little bit in your presentation, but what can we as a community do right now to help you guys progress through your next milestone?
Tell your startups. So it's hard to get commitments from startups, especially far out. So we've been talking to a lot of startups, and we'd love to know we're here, here's what we are, here are the benefits of this kind of space. We want to provide a support structure for you. We're developing support structures specifically for startup tech companies, but more broadly for startup companies. So collecting those startups, and these are groups of 1, 2, 3, 4 people working. Hear from someone who, it sounds like, needs this kind of space, needs those kind of connections, please send them to us, tell them about Canvs. We're also looking for programming partners, so anyone who kind of wants to take responsibility for an event or has an idea for a program that they'd like to develop, we are a platform for new ideas. So we want to bring those people in, help them develop a program that will support the community, and then find a way to get that out. We're also looking for sponsors, obviously, people who want to help us support and grow the mission of what we're trying to do here. And then we're looking for partners in other ways. So basically, if you feel like you have something to contribute to this community, either through your knowledge or your resources or your own business connections, we'd love to have that support.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So up next we have Femi with AutoRecruit. So let's welcome him to the stage.
morning. My name is Femi Fashakin. I'm a software engineer. That's my background. I'm the founder of AutoRecruit.co. And slides is about to come up, and I'll start. All right, so I'll just get started. So basically, it's simple. If you're going to hire a technical developer, you should at least make sure they can write code. And that's the premise of AutoRecruit.co. My experience as a developer, I go for interviews or I talk to a lot of recruiters, and they tend to try to interview you without giving you concrete code and asking you to write code. So I built AutoRecruit to solve that problem. It saves recruiters money, it saves them time, because they have no need to have to do the phone screens or even look at your resumes. Okay. So, and I'm improvising right here. So, so the point of it is, it takes a lot of time to interview candidates. You don't even know if they can write the code or not. So what the system does is it allows candidates to, you basically generate a link on the site, share it with candidate, or invite them to take a screening test. And once the candidate goes to the page and they're about to take the test, they see if they're interested in it, and with a click of a button, they get the, okay, there you go. All right, so I think I skipped something. In fact, I'll backtrack and make it faster now. So the goal of AutoRecruit is to allow recruiters to go through hundreds of, to bypass the process of looking through hundreds of resumes, doing phone screening, because they take too much time. We help recruiters identify the best candidates by pre-screening them. The recruiting market is a $161 billion industry, and technical recruiting is a huge chunk of that. We estimate cost per hire, and this is based on studies, it's $5,100 per candidate. That's a lot. And with AutoRecruit.co, recruiters can actually cut costs. Employers can cut costs by up to 60% if they use a system. So they're supposed, for technical reasons, I can't show you a demo now, but I'll show you some some pages after. I'll move to the target audience. HR managers, hiring managers, corporate recruiters, and staffing agents can really get a lot of benefit from this. Current competitors is traditional phone screening. There's a company called Prove It. It's outdated. It's been around for years, and they haven't updated their tests. They don't allow you to do any code screening. It's basically multiple choice. Programmers don't like multiple choice questions in interviews. They like to write code, and why don't you let them do that? The other one is HackerRank. They have an interest in technology. They use more or less like a peer-to-peer. There's a recruiter on one side, and there's the candidate on one side. That still requires an involvement of another individual, and that's still costly, especially if you're not even sure if the candidate, meets the prerequisite of the job, which is coding. Then the second to last, code view. They kind of do something similar, but they're different in the fact that they don't automate the process of scoring candidates. And one thing we separate ourselves in doing is you not only would allow the candidates to take the screening test, you'd also get we'll also generate the score or based on their performance and send it to you. And the last one, in the same category, the system is not as advanced and it is not automated. Currently, I'm the only technical founder of the team, and that leads me to my next part, which is my ask. I'm trying to partner with people that have expertise in sales, marketing, business gurus, and some other developers to help improve the product and drive it to market. And also, I'm looking for referrals to HR managers and decision makers, and also angel investors and advisors. That's my contact. I have a few set of images. This is our own page, but since we can't really do much right now, but I'll just show you a few. I put a demo on this page here, and anyone can just go to the site and try it out easily. With few clicks of a button, like 2 clicks, you choose the language of the programming. It supports 11 right now, and then you choose the level, senior, junior, intermediate, and then you click generate, and it gives you this URL that you can quickly share on social media or give directly to a candidate. And all the candidate has to do is go to the URL, they'll see a page like this. Once they find that the position interests them or is similar to, matches what they have skills in, and then they'll begin the test. This interface is very innovative. It looks like this. It shows them the problem, and right there they can begin to code and run it to make sure it works fine. And when they're satisfied, they submit, and then it sends it. Thank you very much.
Right here in the front.
Good morning, Femi.
Good morning.
I love the presentation. So my question is, for those companies that want to find programmers or coders for very specific tasks, can your platform create problems and create problem sets that can tailor it to what the company requires? Like an example problem of something very specific related to what a company needs? Or are these tests more general knowledge and general application of coding?
Very good question. So for a start, the tests we have already set up there are more, they help evaluate the fundamentals, computer science, which is core to any developer. If you don't know your fundamentals, then you have no good. And the main goal of why we set up this platform is to actually go further and allow whoever is going to use it to be able to be more specific and create tests that suit the need. So we built an interface in there that allows maybe developers that work with recruiters to customize tests to their needs. So if you're in finance and you're going to do a lot of finance problems, you can take one snippet of something you do at work and ask the candidate to write that code. And that way you don't even have to, you just create it once and done. And then you can use it over and over again.
So I don't even know if this is a real problem, but just curious if you have a solution for it. So say I'm an average coder. My best friend, though, and my roommate is an incredible coder, and I really want to get this job. So could I just have my roommate take it for me, and do you have any way to prevent that?
Absolutely. Very good question. It's killing me now that I couldn't show you some of the cool features we built there, but I'll tell you. One very cool feature to prevent that is a live video session that is recorded. Your session is recorded, your code is recorded, and the image of the person is captured on the screen. So basically we know exactly what you're doing while you're doing it. And that's available right now. One of the features that is coming near future, that we're gonna work on is to basically validate for plagiarism. So we can easily take your code and check it out there on the internet and make sure snippets of it don't come verbatim from somewhere else. And by the way, on the interface, copying and pasting is disabled, and there's also a timer, makes it very limited in actually maybe candidates that will go out there on the internet to try to search for answers. If you have limited time, you're gonna have to do a lot to find the right answer and quickly type it in.
Actually, I have 2 quick questions for you. The first one is, do you have an HR guru who's advising you on this?
Very good question. So, being a developer, I've had a relationship with being a freelance developer for like 8 years. I worked with a lot of recruiters and staffing agencies, and from the inception stage, I worked with them and talked to them every time on everything I did. And the first, since we haven't launched live, but we've been doing a private beta testing, I've been using a lot of the staffing agents to do a lot of the testing process.
Cool. My other question is, how do you make money?
Very good question. It's simple. It's a subscription model. There's a basic to intermediate and large scale, which enterprise companies can use.
Hi, I just have a question about the validation of your exams. How do you actually validate the correctness of an algorithm? Do you look at the input-output, or is there something else going on?
Yeah, and without getting too technical or geeky, that's one. We validate the answers to make sure it's right. The other one is we have a situation whereby there are test cases that we run the code against. The second part is we decompose the code to see the kind of logic within it, and it's something that we wrote proprietary that does a lot of syntax parsing. But in a nutshell, we look at more than just the input-output. But that weighs a lot, of course. If you don't get the answers right, then you lose points on that. But you can also lose points with other things and coding practice, and that's constantly improving.
Just a suggestion. There's a few sites. One is Elance. You've probably heard of them as far as like kind of recruiting those bloggers and other
Yes.
people. Fiverr is a good site as well.
Sorry, say that one more time.
Fiverr, Fiverr. They give you an affordable way to kind of get someone to design graphics and all the other stuff. And Zirtual. I have a friend who worked for Zirtual for a while, and she was an assistant for companies like yourself. So people who have the great idea but needed a team, so they would hire her, and then she would do the odd end task, research, and all the other things that you probably couldn't do because you're busy trying to make the company happen. So those are a few things you can kind of look into.
Thank you.
So I know a lot of back-end coding now doesn't get done in the States. It gets done overseas.
Yes.
Philippines, India. Thank you, India. Just a little brown pride here. And the other, so my question is, because this platform is online, can you have coders who don't, is this compatible with people who don't live in the States? Do you have like language translators, or is there a way for people who don't necessarily live physically in the United States that you want to help code? Can they use this platform?
Yeah, I've always wondered, how do candidates or programmers that Chinese or people that don't speak English, how do they even write code? It's like, is it not in English like we write? But at the end of the day, this is available to it's global because, programming cuts across, states or countries and people. So anywhere there's a need to validate whether a candidate can, perform technical tasks of this nature, then it can be used there. But right now, we're just focusing on the U.S. market.
Thank you very much. I'm David. Really impressed with what I've seen so far, but very simple question. I'm glad you focused on the U.S. first, but would you say your primary target market are enterprise users? So you're going after the IBMs and Fortune 2000 firms primarily?
Yeah, it would be great to get a IBM on board. But for a start, I think we believe internal HR is very key. And the reason why we've identified them is they have more incentive to make sure the quality and the caliber of programmers they're bringing on board is up to par, and versus maybe just general staffing companies. While they also have that need, their primary goal is actually just passing on candidates to recruiters. So we've identified internal HR as very useful for us.
Well, I'll close by saying I have one recommendation. There's a big HR conference going on right now in Orlando, down at the convention center. IBM is there, Cisco, all the big guys. I'd say you leave here and you go straight to the convention center after this.
Where is it?
At the convention center here in Orlando.
Okay.
It's a huge HR conference that's going on right
Today?
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
It finishes today.
Femi. Femi, I have a question. Great suggestion. Right here to your right.
Oh,
there you go.
thank you.
Have you thought about doing it in the reverse? So instead of having a company using that to qualify a candidate, but use a candidate to use the platform to qualify him or herself as an expert in a particular programming language. They can say, look, I got certified by AutoRecruit, and I know how to do this. Here are my credentials.
I love that question, particularly because when we were starting, it's something that came up. Is it more ideal to go from this direction or to go from this? I think that's a very good approach, and we're definitely trying to use that process too. So, but for now, we're basically starting by getting HR companies or companies using it, and we're also making effort, and I can go into details later, but for now, I'll just say we're working on that too.
Hi, Femi. Great stuff, by the way.
Thank you.
But it's kind of a lead-on question to the one that was just asked. Whereas if a company, nowadays we find ourselves trying to recruit developers, and we're getting resources from many different staffing companies. Does your subscription model allow for the hiring company to say, hey, XYZ recruiting firm, send all your candidates to this, where they might not want to subscribe to it, but they can force all the developers to go that way, and we in turn receive that. So it's almost like a proxy where we don't interface directly with the developer, but we would want to validate them this way.
Absolutely it does. We've built it so that companies can create user account, and they just give access to whomever they want to access it, and they can go there and get access to the test, or they can just directly send the links for the test to the staffing agents to make sure everyone they send to them goes through that screening. And now the HR company can also verify that they did by asking the candidates to walk them through the problems they solved. Does that answer the question? Okay. All right.
Any other questions? Oh, right back there.
Oh.
Hey, so how long have you been working on the app now?
It's like 5 months.
5 months in? So I saw it looked like a ton of languages you actually had up there as far
11
as
languages.
Have you you said you were building proprietary systems. Is that around all of those 11, or do you have a general strong object-oriented testing around all of that?
Oh,
what are you actually looking at?
So the focus has been 11 of the main languages, and we have tests, maybe a couple of 100 tests. That's including each of the language. And we're focusing on some logic, object-oriented, data structures heavy, and we're also using some of those trickier reasoning problems, which could better tell you how sharp a developer is.
Cool. How many people have you run through it so far, out of curiosity?
Sorry, say that again?
How many people have actually run through the tests on there?
We have, I really don't have the head count of people that have used it, but we've worked overall with at least 10 staffing agencies that have had candidates go through the screening, and we took a lot of feedback from them in actually getting to the product to where it is today.
Cool. Congrats.
Thank you.
Any last questions? Well, Femi, before we close again, you've had a couple asks. Is there something very specific right now that we as the community can do to help you for the next step?
Yes, if you know any HR managers or you know people that might be able to use this tool, any kind of referrals would really go a long way.
You heard him. Thank you very much, Femi.
Thank you.
So before we close this session, I want you guys to take a look back there in the corner, way back there, hiding in the dark. Right here. Wave for us. Wave. There you go. There he goes. Rudy is doing our live streaming with his startup called Joycaster. So big round of applause. Thank you, Rudy. And again, Rudy volunteers, runs like crazy every Wednesday morning with his equipment, sets everything up, and pushes it out through his platform. So we're really thankful for you, and we really appreciate it. Barney's Coffee has stepped up and really now provides us brewed coffee, which is amazing, because otherwise we had to brew it bright and early in the morning, and I hated being a barista. My hat's off to those that are. Once a week was just a lot of coffee to make. So thank you, Barney's. Continue to tweet at them and share pictures. Grab a picture of 1 Million Cup sign with their cup, and that would be phenomenal to kind of push it out there. We're going to be at the Bush Auditorium next week, easier to get to, faster and simpler to get to, and then the week after that again we'll be here. So if you haven't signed up online on our email list, please do so, because we share that. If you're not our friend on Facebook, please become our friend. We love friends, so become our friends on Facebook so we can also continue and share the message.
If that's the case, as you guys are going out, you'll notice that I have signs with, like, say, Rollins Center for Advanced Entrepreneurship event. We'll always have those signs directing you to the room. So you guys, if you've been here a bunch, you've been to all 4 venues on campus. So it's going to be at one of the 4, and we'll always have signs out. So.
All right. So great reason to go ahead and sign up for the email and keep an eye on the Facebook page, so that way we can confuse you even further. And last but not least, our ask of you is to bring friends next week and to tell companies to come and apply, because without you guys and without the community, this could not exist. So we count on you to help to continue this. Thanks. See you next week.